How's it going?
Very well. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
No soccer today?
Huh?
No soccer today?
No, it's basketball, but my husband went instead.
So you're not in the car?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So we kind of had to stop yesterday because it's an important conversation and you need to be able to concentrate. The thing about don't do things with this that you wouldn't do with your job.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Um, After our conversation yesterday, and that also got me thinking about a few things. So, so to my understanding, I mean, to actually be able to make it, I should be able to invest a certain amount of money up front to actually be able to see profit.
Any business.
Okay. But because things that I'm thinking actually at this very time, the investment is not. I will not be able to make such an investment.
Let me ask you something. Besides the money, is there anything else stopping you?
Nothing else except the fun.
So if it was free, you would do it right away, like that. Snap of the finger.
It was for the money too, because I didn't have to, end up to go to the higher stage to actually get some of the things that I needed.
So let me ask you something, because for me, it doesn't matter if you do it or you don't do it. We're busy enough with our SMMA agency that it's not going to make a difference. It's going to make a big difference to you because of what you're trying to do. So
Hmm.
what I want to ask you is this. I don't create the rules of the business. The businesses are what they are and they need
Oh
what.
yes, they are. I know. I understand that.
Okay, okay. So the advice I gave you is based on what you tell me you want. So that's what it
Hmm.
was catered to. And the only way you would fail is if you didn't do the work. So here's the question that I want to ask you, because first I want to tell you something.
Tell me.
It's a lot harder to find the solution, meaning how to do things right, than it is to actually find the money to get started.
Hmm.
So the hardest part you've already done because we're here together. So here's my question to you. If you knew it was for sure that you could make the money, and if you knew it was for sure, hypothetically, because I know you don't know because you're not there yet, if you knew you could make 100,000 a year, would you lend yourself the $8,000 for 6 to 12 months? If you knew it was for sure.
Actually, if I'm able to get it, yes.
Okay.
But having that kind of money right now, I don't.
Okay, let me ask you something else because you've answered the first question and I think you said yes. So, am I understanding you correctly? In other words, if you had the money, if you knew it was for sure, yes, you would do it.
Of course.
Okay, stop focusing on the money because you have to also focus on what you're getting, not just on what you're investing. Because if you only look at what you're investing, it becomes harder to see what you're getting. And even after you get it, you won't believe it until you've been experiencing it for months. So here's what I'm going to say to you. If your credit is good, you can get the money. That's not going to be a problem.
Um,
A long
I,
time ago, when the banks first were invented, before credit cards even existed, the banks would lend money for business. They would never do it for any other reason because then people had a chance to make money. So that if you say no and you don't do it, at least everything is very clear. That's the only reason I'm still talking. Also, I believe you can do well in the business if you give it the effort. But that's a separate
I know
separate
I
thing.
can.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish now. It's debt equity ratio. So in other words, forget about that for a minute. If your credit is 700 credit score or over or close to that, then your credit is good enough to get the money. If you can show proof of income, and you can show proof of income, it's still good enough to get the funds. That's not going to be a problem either, and you don't need to rush to pay down the cards just for the, not that paying them down is good, but you don't need to rush in most cases to be able to get it. But what I was trying to say to you before when you started talking is that
Mm-hmm.
the reason people get into trouble is not the way the credit was meant to be used. Banks used to give the money just for business because people had a chance at making money. Then the credit cards were invented and people use them wrong. They use credit cards for the fancy vacation they can't afford, fancy clothes, things they want to buy to have fun with, but these things have no chance of making the money, and that's how they build debt. And then it gets to a point
Mm-hmm.
where they're carrying debt. What I tell all my clients is that whether you have one credit card or many, whether you have one line of credit or many, never use them personally except for small amounts that you can easily pay in full at the end of the month and never carry a balance because that improves and builds your credit. The other thing is, if a person only uses credit for business, they actually have a chance at making money, and that was the true nature of why credit was invented. So, what I can do, if you like, if your credit score is around 700 or just
Actually, at this time, it's not.
okay, if it's just under, because if your credit's good, you can get the money. That's not going to be a problem. I can send you a source that I know people have used, clients of ours. I'll have to have one of the girls look it up because I don't remember offhand to give it to you now, but I know that they're reputable, honorable, and good. And that'll solve the problem of being able to get the funds if that's the only problem. If there's other things, that I can't do much about. But don't convince yourself or tell yourself, that you can't do it because it sounds like you probably could. The other thing is, I don't want you to stress because if you can look forward, if you're going to stress, even millions of dollars are not worth it. But if you can look forward to it and you can be excited about it, then you definitely should do it because at the end of the day, and I heard the deep breath and I hear what you're saying, but the thing is this: if you don't do it,
No,
okay, let's say you
actually,
don't. Hold on. Let's say you don't do it, okay? For whatever reason, you don't do it. What's your backup plan? Because with most people, what happens is they'll spend little amounts of money over time, over the next, let's say, you might, over the next 2, 3, 4 years, trying other things that might look like they cost less. And in the end, those things don't work because it's not enough volume. And you end up spending the same or more over time, except you waste the money. And even more valuable than the money, you end up wasting.
what I was thinking about doing, I'm gonna try to see if I can focus on bringing those credit card debt down and bring my credit score back up. Then get whatever loan that I need to do the business,
What's your
and
credit
then,
score?
huh?
What's your credit score right now?
The last I checked, it was about 670.
You can get the money today. If you're at 670 or around there, you can definitely get the money and you'll be approved. Um,
Uh,
no problem.
that that I understand, Brian. But one thing that worries me is just what I already have. I want to lower those down before I can add to it. Because I the stress of that can actually bring me down.
Well, stress is no good, and stress brings on illness. But you have to be honest about a couple of things. And I'm not going to put you, I don't look to push or put anybody in a position
Mm-hmm.
where they're not going to be able to make their commitments no matter how good this is. Because I know this will work, and I even make all the calls with you, by the way, which we didn't get into yesterday. And there's a lot of things you're not aware of that are going to make this easier for you. But I'm going to put that aside for a minute because the most important thing is that. So, what I want to ask you is this now. Every day you go to work, and every week you go to work, and that's pretty much the same. And every month you have things you need to pay like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had another payment to make every month, how close are you right now where you feel like there's nothing left? Are you at the point where you feel like there's nothing left as it is every month, or you still have a?
Actually, I'm already at that point.
Okay,
That's
so
that's what kind of worries me, and especially the way that I do things. There are certain things that my husband doesn't know about,
I
so I'm
understand.
trying to fix. Because if I don't fix quick, if I find out, my marriage can be in jeopardy, which will not be nice, and it will be all my fault.
I don't think it'll be all your fault because it takes two, and you're trying to do good things. You're not trying to do bad things. So I wouldn't, put that all on you. Um, I don't think that's fair to you. And the reason why I was asking you what I'm asking you is because,
Mm-hmm.
the business isn't something that you want to sacrifice because that's going to be your answer. It's the other things that got you to this point. And everybody, if they look closely enough, they can find within their day-to-day life an extra 50 or $100 a month to
Mm-hmm.
put towards paying something that they hadn't thought of before. You know better than I do because I don't know your daily routine, but I know everybody has things they do. It might be Starbucks. It might be going to the closer grocery store because it's easier, but 10 minutes away you could save 50 or $100 a week on a grocery or errand and some other things put together.
Actually, I don't even do none of that.
Okay, they're just examples. You know, like I said, you know better than I what those things
Yes.
may be. So, what I'm trying to say to you is that all those things, really, what it is it's fear. And it's not fear for coming from a bad place, but people that don't get what they want feel the fear and they stop. People that do get what they want feel the fear and they continue. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure if you think about it on your own, you'll find things that you do monthly that you could maybe pay less for right now that will make it so that you don't really feel that monthly payment for the business while you're making it.
Mm,
Your stress level will stay the same. It's not going to get worse. It's not going to get better right away because it's going to take time to do the work we're going to do together. But your stress level can stay the same and you can have something big to look forward to. So in 6 to 12 months from now, you can actually depend on the internet.
yes, but what if I said, there are things that I'm working on. In a couple of months, things will be better. I'm not talking about business wise. There are things that I can actually fix to make things better, and then I can actually get this thing up and running.
I'm not in a rush. You can call me back in 5 years. I'm still going to be here. So,
5 years? No.
yeah, yeah, because I'm not going to retire completely because I get bored.
Mhm.
But I will tell you this,
Mhm.
and I'm going to tell you the things I'm telling you, you probably already know most of them, if not all of them, but sometimes
Yeah.
we need to be reminded of things. So
Of course.
here's the other thing. You may in 2 months be able to do what you're saying, and I believe that you can, but what you can't do is you can't control life. And in
Mhm.
2 months or in 2 weeks, something else might happen that'll take you in a different direction that you feel like you need to take care of and it's going to slow you down. There's always going to be the unexpected. That's why, because you're already in business, you should act now. Because later, you can't control the later. You can prepare, you can make things better where you think like you're more comfortable, but it's an illusion because at the end, you're only going to be comfortable when you have something that you can depend on and you want your own business.
I understand what you said, but usually that I will have that little thing in me that says, "Okay, just go for that leap." And what now? For some reason that I am, it's not there because there's something that just
Because you're scared.
No, I am not scared.
It's okay, but it's normal. There's nothing
I
wrong with it.
am not scared.
So what is it?
It's just that what it is just that knowing exactly, even the what if.
It's the unknown. It's the okay. So I think now I have a better way of getting it across to you. So I'm going to go to your worst concern. I won't use the word fear. I'll use the word concern. Let's say you do this and it doesn't work. Is it going to drastically? It's not going to happen. But let's say you do it and it doesn't work. Is it going to drastically change your life from where you are right now? Meaning you have another $8,000 to pay. It didn't work. Of course, you're not happy, and you have another 8,000 to pay off. Is it going to drastically change your life from where you are right this moment?
It will definitely make things worse.
Okay. Now, let's say you do it and it works, and it actually works better than I said because I've been modest in the way I've been describing it to you. Will that drastically change your life?
Yes.
Do you see my point?
Mm.
So, you need to look at both stories, both scenarios. I'm not looking to push you to say yes. I'm not looking
Mm-hmm.
to pressure you. I'm just having a conversation with you because I know, and I've worked with many people like yourself, and I can tell you that beyond your wildest imagination, you'd probably never expect for this to be as good as it is. And if I thought you weren't going to do the work, we wouldn't even be here, and I wouldn't have been working with you as a client. I would have told you from the beginning, it's not a good match, it's not a good idea, it's not for you. Whatever it is, I do it often. So the only thing that you need to reflect on is, can you allow yourself to believe that it can work? Because whether you make it better in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, there's always going to be something else that can occur, that can pop up. And I think you want a business that's working for you sooner, not later.
Mm.
Can't explain it any better than that. Can't be more clear than that. And I can't force you to believe it either.
Yes, I understand. I understand.
Even when you make money the first time, you won't believe it. You'll think it was a fluke or that you were just lucky. It'll take maybe 4, 5, 6 months of seeing it happen for you to believe it completely and realize it wasn't a fluke. Because you've never experienced it before,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's normal.
Mm.
Ask me more questions if you have.
No, there was something that I've been waiting on. So I'm gonna check on that, to see if that will become available to me, and with that I can move forward.
But if it doesn't, you can still move forward, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, I understand that, as well.
And remember something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's lucky that you found me when you did, because if we had found each other maybe 6 months from now, maybe it would be harder for you to do something because maybe your credit would have gotten affected. Maybe you would have had unexpected expenses come up that you didn't expect. Maybe if we met 6 months sooner than now, you might have not been ready because you might have wanted to go in the direction of what you found before and the time needed to play out. So, I don't know. I'm a believer in things happening for a reason.
I do believe that as well. But for me, this is one thing that I remember. I was talking to my brother.
Right.
I told him that, this is something that never happened to me.
What do you mean?
let's say have debt, I always have everything under control.
Oh, I
And
see.
that's when he told me, you know what? You're just human. That happened, and that's a lesson in life. You will get a hang of it and get it back to the way that it used to be. But that is a lesson that you're gonna have to learn, regardless.
But there's
And
good
I,
debt and
I
there's
I
bad debt.
understand. I'm sorry.
There's good debt and there's bad debt. And money advice you should only take from people that have already generated millions of dollars. And you should, be mindful of one thing, because you have something that's very important within you. You have the mindset of a person that wants their own business, and that's different from a person who's willing to just work. Because most people, they're happy with a job, they have their job, they do what they do, they come home every night, and they just, as long as they don't get fired, everything's fine. But the funny thing about life is that you can be as careful as you want to be. When things happen that aren't expected and a person gets fired, or a person spends money on things they shouldn't have spent money on, not business, just things they don't need, that have no way of making them money, and then they have something appear that they needed to pay that they weren't expecting, debt can get built that way. So it's not necessarily a person's fault if they have debt. Does that make sense?
I know that.
But there's good debt and there's bad debt.
I know that too.
So whatever debt you're, what's making you say to yourself, well, I'm in debt, it's no good, it's no good, or that your brother's saying, well, you're human? Was there one
No,
thing in
actually, the
particular?
reason why when I say that, that never happened to me.
Right.
So it's just like a way of him letting me know, hey, you human, you know.
Well, sure, but I mean, is it because of money you invested into the internet? Is it other
No,
things that
no,
you
no,
didn't
no,
need to
no,
buy?
no, no. Not even. It wasn't even the internet. It was
Okay.
just like,
You're a good person, that's why you got yourself into, I wouldn't describe it that way, because you did something that needed to be done to take care of your family. So that's very different to, and I know you know this, but again, that's very different to someone who is irresponsible. And debt, implies that a person used money irresponsibly. And having some debt because you helped family that got sick is not irresponsible. Having some debt because you started a business is not irresponsible. And going out and buying, TVs and clothes, paying for vacations, vacations that a person shouldn't, can't, fancy meals, that's different. That's debt, and that's, saying to yourself, I've never had this, and what have I done, and but no, I mean, that's different.
mm-hmm,
You should be proud of you. Don't look
mm-hmm,
at it as a negative. But I understand you. I hear you. I hear you.
mm-hmm. And that's probably the only thing that actually kind of make me a little bit, because I know the type of person that I am. And one thing, Brian, I can tell you, I mean, I have a feeling that I will get to work with you.
I
Oh,
I
not
do
will,
too.
going to. But and it's the same thing too, and that I would love for you to get to see what type of person that I am. And that will make things, and you will be like, wow, that is incredible.
No,
Um
because I already know, because I work with and have trained a lot of people that work for me and with me in the past and currently. And I'm usually not wrong. I'm a very good judge of character and what a person is or isn't. So I won't be surprised in anything that you show me. The reason why I'm pressing on you a little bit today, if I could use that word, is because I know you're better off getting started now than you are getting started later. Because this isn't something that you just woke up one day and said, yesterday I want to do this. This is something that's been inside you for a while. This is something that you want quite badly, meaning you're serious about it. and you're the kind of person that goes out of their way for others more than for her own self. And this is something that you should do for your own self because it'll make you very happy, and the reaction from that happening will also help all the others around you. So here's what I think you should do. Digest what we discussed today. Let's get
Mm-hmm.
together tomorrow and do a training. Let's go through the opening script, because that's the bulk of what we should be doing anyways, even if you already made the investment now and had already done it and we're going to do the campaign. The opening script is what we need to focus on because that's the bulk of what you're going to be doing. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to call people back ever to go through the final script because I'm going to show you how to get people coming back to you. So the bulk of the time you would spend would be only on the opening script, nothing else. And we make all those calls together until you're comfortable, like I do with all my new clients that I take on. So in short, digest. Let's talk at 5:30 tomorrow, and we'll go through the opening script. And if you have more questions, we'll go over them.
Okay.
Okay? And I wish you a wonderful night unless you have more.